Welcome to the Leap Health Workplace Podcast. Here we explore innovative, proven health and wellbeing solutions to drive your performance and productivity. Leap Health empowers individuals and organisations to prioritise their health and wellbeing as a catalyst to performance and productivity. We do this by providing workplace health and wellbeing performance workshops and also the Leap 360 one-to-one leadership coaching to drive health, wellbeing and performance, powered by the Game Changer Index Energy for Impact profiling tool. And we offer bespoke corporate programs to ignite proactivity in ownership at all levels of health and wellbeing as a catalyst to performance and productivity. Whether you're sat at your desk right now or on the move, get ready to listen, get ready to invest your time and take action straight after. I'm Anna Reddy. Let's get ready to make small steps to leap health. Hello and welcome to the podcast today. Today's slightly different. I haven't done this for quite a while, and this is a solo episode. And it did dawn on me after I had a flurry of really exciting guests approaching me to be on the podcast that I haven't actually done one on my own for a while. So I'm afraid you've just got me and my Lancashire accent today. But today's topical, it's all around that end of year reflection and how you're actually going to develop yourself in 2025. And I think we're probably all thinking about this, but the question is, have we actually taken action? And I myself was thinking about this over the last month, what do I need to be reflecting on? What do I need to be setting goals for next year? But sometimes you've just got to actually take that time, invest in yourself, reflect on what's been really good this year, what have I learned this year, and where do I actually want to be next year as well. And sometimes we don't have to just leave this until the end of the year, until we start thinking we've got to make New Year's resolutions. It's something that we can do periodically during the year to make sure that we are on track. So the purpose of today really is just to help and empower you to reflect on what's worked well, what maybe you've learned, and some small little steps that you can take through into 2025 that are going to have a big impact on your health, your well-being, and your performance as well. And this is really important to think about. Prioritizing your health and well-being is not just about all this airy-fairy taking out time to, get all zen and things like that. It's about the things that you do to actually make you perform at your best and have happiness and lead the life that you really want to do. And so when I've sat down to reflect in terms of how the year's gone, there's been lots of challenges along the way, as people will appreciate. Maybe as a mother of 3 children, there's always lots of curveballs that come along. But actually, there's lots and lots of good things that have happened as well. And sometimes just taking that time to recognise what you've achieved can give you that confidence and that reaffirm that, you are going to be successful in the next year as well. But it's also, as I said, there's lots of things that happen along the way that you don't always foresee. So you can have this amazing plan for how things are going to go, but life throws all different things at you. And this has been a real realization as to how you've just got to manage your expectations and how you can deal with life's hurdles as they come along, rather than thinking everything's got to be perfect and it's got to go to plan. And this is something that I've probably grappled with for a long time, having 3 children, and not always being able to predict how every day is going to go, if we're going to have a phone call from school, if one of them is going to be having a wobble. And it's things that we just can't always predict. And this can give lots of people that anxiety and worrying about, if they have to let people down or can't achieve what they want to do. But it's just been a real realization that, you can adapt as life throws different things at you, but it's making sure you've got those strategies in place to add that element of flexibility. But one of the biggest things as well is just being able to be your authentic self, recognizing that we're not all perfect, and people who do seem like they're perfect, believe you me, they're probably not, and they're probably the ones that are just trying to keep their head above water more than anyone else. So just being our authentic selves, recognizing where our strengths are, recognizing those areas that maybe we do struggle with, and being able to lean into our strengths more of the time can be a real enabler. So the model that I'm going to use today, which I'm sure many of you have heard before, because I use this in all my workshops, in all my work that I do, just because it gives a real good foundations in terms of addressing all different pillars of your life, your health and well-being that can have a big impact on your overall health, wellbeing, and performance is the Ready model. And I do deliver workshops specifically in each one of these areas. So we just kind of use this today as a model to go to reflect and think about the future with a few little tips in each one of these areas. So R is for rest, recovery, recharge. E is for eating well. A is for activity. D is for distraction management. And Y is for you. We are all unique. We're all individuals. So the things that we think we've done well last year that we're reflecting on are going to be totally different to anyone else. But really, really key to recognise is that the small steps you're going to put in place for next year are going to be really individualised too. You don't compare yourself to other people. It's really individualised too. So we're going to go through this READY acronym, and once we get to the U, this is when you're going to get to the nitty-gritty of actually making some small steps that you're going to put into place. And it's all about getting that ROI, that return of investment. We can't just write a list of zillions and zillions of changes we're going to make, because it just won't happen. So you've got to cherry pick those few little things that are going to have a big impact every moving forward, and things that you can keep evolving as well. And so we'll start off with rest, recovery, and recharge. I would argue this is the most important of all of the areas that we're going to explore, because unless you've slept, you can't focus, you're not creative, you're not as productive, you react to things in a different way. And studies do show that leaders who are sleep deprived by just 45 minutes have a huge impact in terms of the psychological safety of people below them. It does play such a big impact on the way that you show up. And often we think we can be masking it. We think that if we're sleep deprived, people don't notice. Believe you and me, yes, they do. And we show up completely different. So I would really encourage you, if you're going to start with any of these pillars, start with rest and recovery and look at how you can really prioritize your sleep. And sometimes we have to go against the grain. We hear of all these people putting posts on Instagram, on TikTok, on wherever about being in the 5 a.m. club. And yeah, that might work for some people, but it doesn't work for everybody. And you've got to be realistic. Are you getting that 7 to 9 hours sleep that you actually need? Or are you staying up to midnight and then thinking you're going to be winning at life because you're getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning? Because believe you and me, it's going to catch up with you. So make sure that you're having enough hours sleep and it's fitted into your world. And I said, having kids, I've got kids of different ages, which I do find it quite difficult navigating different ages when they should probably have different bedtimes and they're doing different activities as well. And I've had to recognise this year really that I have children that are getting a little bit older, they're up a little bit later, and I can't be getting up as early in the morning because I need to make sure I've had that adequate amount of sleep to restore everything physically and mentally in my body so that I can be at my best, because I want to be as productive as I possibly can. And I'm sure you do as well. So I really try to ensure you're getting about 7 to 9 hours sleep a night. I know that is not always possible for everybody, and there's lots of reasons why we can't do that. And we've got to accept that there'll be periods of our time when we don't get that amount of sleep, and there'll be things that can hinder it as well. But try to aim for that wherever you can, and try and think about the quality of that sleep. So it's not just about the things you do just before you go to bed. It's things you do all day that can have a big impact on that sleep. And I've got 3 fabulous podcast episodes with the consultants from the Sleep Project, which you can find on the Leap Health Workplace podcast. Go back, because they are really, really insightful and address all different areas of sleep. But it could be as small as having, something as little as having your cup of tea or coffee in the afternoon could really inhibit the quality of your sleep later on. It could be maybe that you're watching the news late at night and it starts lots of things buzzing around in your head. These things we can actually take control of. And you might think, well, I've got to make these really big grand goals for 2025. However, even just thinking, right, that cup of tea I have at 3 o'clock, I'm just going to bring it forward a little bit to 12 o'clock at lunchtime, because that then means I'll have better quality of sleep. That means the next day I'll wake up feeling more energized. I'm going to exercise more, which will then stimulate all the neurotransmitters in my brain, which will then make me perform more, which will then increase my productivity, which will then increase my work-life balance, because I'll be able to switch off at the end of the day. I'll feel happier. I'll be better at home with the people around me. So even those small little things, if you dig back, can have a big impact. And using that example again, if you're thinking, I just can't get away from my cup of tea or my cup of coffee in the afternoon, create an alternative. It's very hard just to take something away. You need to be creating a replacement. So make that replacement more attractive. So if you have your cup of coffee in the afternoon, then maybe try and replace it with a really, really luxurious, really nice decaf coffee, which is not going to taste that much different. And then replace your normal coffee with one that's maybe not that luxurious, so that you've got a better alternative. Or if maybe you're going for late at night, you're going for distractions on your phone, looking at Instagram, and get distracted with things online, maybe just try and get yourself a really, really good book, something that you really, really want to read, and try and make that positive replacement, because it's very hard just to go cold turkey on things if we don't have a replacement. So that's just skimming over that rest, recovery, and recharge. But as I said, there's loads and loads of information within the podcast that I'd really recommend you to look at. So the next one is thinking about what you eat. And all we ever hear about is cut this out, this is bad for you, that don't do this, and people are going on these really strict, restrictive diets. Again, you've really got to dig down to think, what is going to work for you? Have you got maybe an illness that you need to try and tackle? Are you trying to fuel your mind? And I would always recommend starting by fueling your mind. What we eat has such an impact on our brain, which then impacts on our physical health as well. So really try to think about fueling your mind. Think about that timing. So make sure you're not eating that much that you're getting yourself in a food coma, but equally, you're not starving yourself so that you're hungry all the time. Try and get that balance, and try to prioritize the nutrients that you need. So go for a prioritization approach. Dig deep to find out what are the key nutrients that you really particularly need. What are the foods that you actually like that contain them? Because if we're eating things that we don't like, we're not going to stick to it. It's not sustainable. And then just maybe create 2 or 3 recipes around that, that's got an abundance of nutrients. Try and get lots and lots of variety in there. Stir fries, soups, and things that have got all that different abundance of nutrients. And equally, we could find something that's actually considered a really highly nutritious food, which is really good. But if you're just having that over and over again, then you could be missing out other vital nutrients. So that would be one key point around eating well, is just try and prioritize. And when you prioritize things like your protein, like your fiber, like your healthy fats, indirectly you have less of the rubbish. Without thinking about it, you eat less of the rubbish. So try go for that prioritization of nutrients, and just fuel your body. Fuel yourself well. Really think about your body as a machine, top sports car. You wouldn't feel that with rubbish. So just think about really fueling your body and your mind well. And the next one is activity. Now, my perspective on movement has changed dramatically over the years. I'd always think I need to go out for a run for an hour, or train in the gym for a long time, otherwise it's not worth it. I'd get up really early to train in the morning, which I know does have lots of benefits, and you can't beat that buzz from going outside in the fresh air and having a good run in the morning. But having 3 kids and juggling life, that can become a bit of a stressor if you're thinking about where you're going to fit in this exercise here and there. And when you're busy with work, that can become a stressor, because work can take over and you don't have that time to do that activity. So let's really try and think about breaking down those barriers. And sometimes we procrastinate on things as well. If you've set yourself a really strict gym routine, which lots of people do in January, and think they're going to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger by February by setting this really strict regime, you can procrastinate on it because it seems such a hurdle to do it and difficult to fit it in. So just try to break it down. Try to reframe how you think about exercise. And what I found particularly useful is just some small little YouTube workouts at home that I know I can pause if a child needs me to go and do something for them, and I can start again. Or even just having that 10 minutes round the block when I've dropped the kids at school. I see that as a time just to re-energize and make me productive for the day. It's not just about getting that exercise in and burning those calories. It's about stimulating all those neurochemicals in my brain so that I can be more productive, so that I get more done in the time that I'm at my desk. So then I can switch off with my family later on. So just try to reframe how you do things. And another one, which I think is really important when it comes to activity, is thinking about your pre-workout. This is as important as the workout. So make it as easy as possible. Ladies listening now and people who I've spoken to will know my top tip for this. First thing you do in the morning is get your sports bra on, because that is one of the biggest hurdles, isn't it? If you later on you're not ready, you're not in your gym gear, and you think, oh, it's freezing, I've got to get changed, got to get my sports bra on, you can think, can't be bothered with this. So first thing you do, first thing I do when I roll out of bed, still be in my pajamas, just straight away get my gym stuff on, so that I know when I've had my cup of tea, I can stick YouTube on, do a quick workout, and then you set up for the day. So try just to break those barriers down, or even a really good podcast. Download yourself a really good podcast. I'd recommend looking on the Leap Health Workplace podcast. But there's lots of other, obviously, fabulous ones out there. But maybe download yourself a podcast the night before and think of it as a treat. It's your time to listen to something really, really inspiring. And don't let yourself listen to that podcast until you are moving, or maybe just getting your trainers on. So just try and think of things that can attract you and be a pull to that movement. Try to break it down into small chunks and try to reframe it in terms of it's, your happy time. It's the things that's really going to make you feel good. The next one is distraction management. D is for distraction management. And I think sometimes we don't actually realise how many distractions are in our world. And this has been a real reflection for me this year. So there's been a lot more awareness around ADHD and other areas of neurodiversity, which I am really fascinated about. Having children that have dyslexia, I'm really interested in how you can release those superpowers of neurodiversity and how they are a real enabler, but how you just put strategies in place for those things that could derail you. And yeah, the more I'm learning about ADHD, the more I'm spotting the signs in myself and spotting the strategies that I've put in place, maybe unconsciously without actually realising. So not looking at it in a negative way, and also not jumping on the bandwagon like lots of people think that we're all jumping on the bandwagon. It's just awareness. And the more you can empower yourself to understand yourself, the better we can tailor our life to suit our needs to be us. So this is certainly an area we will be looking into a lot more on the podcast. Obviously, we had the wonderful Adrian Newman on recently, looking at talking a lot about autism and his vast experience working with people with autism. I've got a wonderful podcast guest coming on exploring ADHD in the new year, and I'm really excited for her to come on. I actually found her because she had a guest who was on the Fern Cotton podcast. So I believe she will be wonderful and give us some great insights around ADHD. But I think whether we've got that neurodiversity, we can all suffer from getting distracted. There's so many things, as I said before, in the news. Our world of social media is there to try and keep us on there as long as it possibly can. Netflix wants us to stay awake all night so that we're on there all the time seeing ads and things. YouTube does. Our world is designed and geared up to make us distracted. So we've got to be able to put those strategies in place, recognise how much time we could be wasting by getting distracted, and just take a bit of a hold of it as well, and be like a little bit more purposeful and focused and intentional with your time. A lot of my friends might giggle if they're listening to me. I'm not the best at getting back to them straight away on the telephone, but they do know that if I'm busy working during the day, they're probably not going to get a reply straight away. So I do try to be quite intentional with that. So just try to, be mindful, look at the pockets of time that maybe you could be losing to distractions and replace them. So going back to that, don't just go cold turkey, replace them. Think about all the wonderful things you can do with the time that you lose. And also people can be distractions as well. So it might be a good time just to have a think about those people in your life that could be possible distractions, and how you can try and get more of that positive noise that keeps you focused, that inspires you, that sends you on that path that you want to go down to achieving your goals in 2025 and beyond. And even this is simple little things like music and talking to positive people can be a really good distraction when we're feeling a little bit low as well and need that motivation. And finally, which, as I said, is the most important, which is why this is all about you. And as I said, in the busy world and where everyone's got everything plastered all over social media, we can really fall into that trap of comparing ourselves to other people, to worrying about what other people think or looking at what other people have achieved. And when in lots of my workshops, I'll open up my workshops with a beautiful picture of my 3 children sat on the top of a beautiful hill, and it looks wonderful. We're out in fresh air, they're all cuddling up to each other. It's idyllic. It was actually horrendous. The truth of it was horrendous. I had to drag them up this hill. I had to bribe them all the way. They fell out all the way. I sat them on the top of the hill. I thought they were going to belt each other off the top of the hill. It was not pleasant. And yet that picture just painted the picture of it being absolutely wonderful. And this is what social media does. You've really got to recognise that we cannot compare ourselves to anyone else because it doesn't paint the correct the picture or what reality actually is. You've just got to focus on yourself and what are the things that you can do to help yourself. And your small steps will be totally different to anybody else's. By all means, chat with other people, get inspiration from other people about what are their small steps and pinch the bits that could be good for you, but mold them into something that fits for you. So in terms of some questions for you to maybe think about moving forward, try to maybe think about what am I not reinventing the wheel with? So often we do think, oh, we're moving forward, we've got to do this, we've got to change this. And I am guilty of this. I've got a brain that comes out with ideas constantly, and I'm always thinking there's a better way to do everything. However, sometimes we just need to take a moment to think, right, this is working really well. This is working. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. And also, we can use that from other people as well. One of Stephen Covey's habits of highly successful people, is to copy those people that are being successful and take those bits and mold it to your world. So try to look at, we don't look at things that are already there, that work well. We don't always have to reinvent the wheel. Making sure, though, that it does fit in with your long-term goals. But then on the flip side of that, we do have to think as well, what am I going to reinvent the wheel with? Because if we keep doing the same things over and over again and it's not fitting in our world, then we're going to get the same old results over and over again. So try to think, what little things could I reinvent the wheel with? What in my life could I shake up a little bit and do a little bit differently? And then the next one is, what do I need to learn more about? So when we're trying to shake things up a little bit and develop ourselves, because we don't want to just sit back. We need to keep developing as humans. We need to feel impactful. We need that development to feel happy in ourselves and content ourselves. We need to feel like we're going somewhere. So try and think about, what do I need to learn more about? And when you're thinking about what you need to learn more about, think about the method that you're going to learn that in. So are you better at writing things down? Are you better at listening to things? You're better when you're with other people learning things. Try to get that environment for your learning optimal so that you get greater return investment from that learning. Try and learn things that you're actually interested in, because we all know when we're at school and you're learning things that you're just not interested in, your return investment is minimal. When you get out of that setting from school, when you're not being forced, and then you find your love for things, you just absorb that learning so much quicker, and it's so more powerful and inspiring. So think about, what do I need to learn more about? This next point is really, really something I want you to think about. What do I need to say yes to, and what do I need to say no to? So are you one of those people that says yes to everything, and then all of a sudden you think, oh, I'm overwhelmed, I don't have time to fit this in, and this is a stressor, so that thing that I thought was going to be lovely, it's just going to be horrendous because I've got too many things to do? Or equally, you're one of those people that says no to everything, and then after that wishes that you'd said yes because you'd left an opportunity go by. So really try to think, maybe reflect on this last year. What did I say yes to that maybe I shouldn't have said yes to? I should have just upright said no, I don't fancy that, and just being totally honest. Or what are the things that you've said no to that really in hindsight you should have grabbed that opportunity and gone with it. So try to get that balance between what you say yes to, what you say no to. And I've got a short little video which I will include in the show notes for this, which is how to say no politely. I've got 5 ways as to how you can say no to things in a constructive, polite way without making enemies. And then the final one, which has been the common theme through this podcast, has been, what are my small steps that are going to lead to health, well-being and performance? So try to think of just 2 or 3. Don't go with a long list of goals thinking you're going to be a different person by the end of 2025 and you're going to be winning everything in life. Just try and think of 2 or 3 really, really small steps that you can implement that are going to have a cumulative effect, that are going to leap your health, that are going to give you a big bang for your buck. So even going back to a small example of having caffeine in an afternoon, or maybe even reflecting on how your relationship with alcohol, how much alcohol you have, even maybe cutting back slightly on your alcohol could have such a big impact on the way that you feel mentally, physically, and the way you perform professionally and personally. But just really trying to dig deep and thinking about 2 or 3 small steps that are going to lead to health, well-being and performance will be key to providing that clarity to you moving forward in 2025. So I hope that's been useful. I would love to know what your small steps are to leap health. If you want any more info or just want to get in touch, please do. My email address is anna@leaphealth.co.uk. I'm very active on LinkedIn and Instagram. And I do offer workplace health workshops, webinars, one-to-one coaching. And I do bespoke programs as well. I work in lots and lots of different sectors, including law, pharma, education, lots and lots of different sectors, because health, wellbeing and performance is applicable to everybody. So I hope that's been useful. As I said, please do get in touch if you need anything. And I'm wishing you lots and lots of success in 2025. Thank you. So before you stop listening, I want you to pause. What did you take away from the podcast today? What small steps will you start? And what did you hear that you know could help someone else to make small steps to lead their health, well-being, productivity and performance? Please do share this episode and please subscribe to the podcast. And remember that Leap Health are here to provide workplace health, wellbeing and performance workshops, one-to-one coaching and bespoke corporate solutions to help the world make small steps to leap health, wellbeing, productivity and performance. Please do get in touch. It's anna@leaphealth.co.uk. Have a great day.